Back from the international break. This is the RotoWire Soccer DFS show. I'm Adam Zdroik, joined by Jordan Cooper and Ryan Belongia. We're talking Saturday's 5-game slate at DraftKings. Jordan, the newest NHL tout on the market. He just sold Ryan on playing NHL DFS going forward. Jordan, what's going on? Have you won a bunch of money over your last
I've only
two
played
NHL
two
slates?
NHL slates. Tasteful Tides Tim Buell convinced me on the Roto Grinders show to play NHL because he's like, dude, you've been playing soccer for so long. It's like soccer and MLB combined. Think of soccer scoring, but things are way more correlated. So it's like, okay, I'll give it a shot, and I give it a shot. I've not profited in neither of the two slates that I played, but I played one lineup and then 6 lineups, but just to get a sense of like, oh, this is something that's doable, and it's very if you're good at soccer DFS, I think you could be pretty good at NHL DFS.
Yeah, so going forward, we'll have 3 p.m. Eastern. I think Monday through Friday, Ryan and Jordan are doing their NHL DFS show. So make sure to check that out. I think it's
I have to
rotowire.com.
Google the names of the people to know what teams they are. You don't want me to know. I don't know who these people are.
Ryan, what's up? Oh, we got a comment. NHL rules. Matt S. All right, shouts to Matt S. Ryan, we just went through about an hour on an NFL show. So if you play NFL DFS, check out Ryan and my show that we did up on the RotoWire YouTube channel. But Ryan, what's up? Did you play the international slates at all? You did. That's
I did.
right. Okay.
Yeah, I did pretty well. It was nice. I always like those international slates.
Yeah, there was a lot. There's always a lot, but it's always fun to play Cyprus against Moldova or whatever's going on.
That was it. Yeah, I went on the Iceland versus Liechtenstein slate, or yeah, those are fun slates. I mean, this slate's kind of interesting. We have podcast favorite Chris Wood, and it's everyone on City's under 10K, but a ton of set piece guys in good spots. Yeah, I think this is an interesting slate.
Heck yeah. RotoWire.com/soccer trial, 48-hour trial. If you're watching on YouTube or Twitter, I got our cheat sheet up. You're going to need that soccer trial. You're going to need subscription to get that cheat sheet. And then our Discord, RotoWire.com/chat. Ryan won money playing it over the international break because one of our writers, Tropical Bear, was just supplying all kinds of valuable international break information for everyone. So if you want all that information, that's in our Discord. But we got 5 home teams, all favored. We got Manchester City home against Brighton. They have a 2.32 implied goal total. That match is 3.46. No other match is above 2.9 implied total, and that 2.9 match is Bournemouth and Wolverhampton. So as Ryan said, there's a lot of ways to go. Newcastle are almost as big of a favorite as Manchester City. As we can see in the lineups, there are some questions, but for this slate specifically, I don't know if we'll have many questions, though we did get an injury note this morning that Alexander Isak has not been training, so I don't think he's going to be ready to start here. So we got Callum Wilson in the starting 11. Awoniyi, we know he's out. Chris Wood started for Nottingham Forest before the break. Though there is a slight chance that Divock Origi, shed his beer belly during the break, and maybe he's going to be ready to start. But Jordan, Chris Wood, 3,600. Is he the first forward in your lineup?
Not in cash games.
I thought you were going to come here and tell everyone to play Chris Wood. I was ready to yell at you.
No, I don't think you're playing. I don't think you're playing Chris Wood in cash on this slate. The interesting part about this slate is that, like, Man City have the highest implied team total, but like from a floor perspective, we have a lot of good floor players in the mid-range. I think there's a lot of opportunity cost at midfield this week. We really only have one defender worth playing. I think the construction is going to be the construction type is going to be straightforward, but the players that you play in that construction type, you could probably play 20 different different people intermixed in those types of things. Now, I think this is a much more, I don't want to call it interesting slate. Ownership-wise in GPPs, I'm not sure what the Man City ownership is going to be. Like, it feels as if that Man City will be under-owned this slate due to the options that are available on this 5-game slate. But I could also think that overall, I mean, like, it could go either way. And in cash, I believe, when we start talking about forwards, it's quite there are cash lineups you could play that I wouldn't call you crazy if you didn't have a single Man City player in your lineup in cash. I don't think that's optimal, but I think the question comes in, Ryan. We have Alvarez at 9,000. We have Foden at 8,100. Haaland's 9,800. Obviously, Haaland's floor is low. I mean, obviously, he's the best goal scoring odds. And now, if you want to play him, sure, go for it. But typically, I don't. Is this the type of slate where you'd plug in Alvarez and Foden? Or we have guys like, I take a look at Nottingham Forest, probably going to be the best matchup at home the entire season. Morgan Gibbs-White is pretty much does everything and plays 90. He's 8,500. I almost feel like I want to play him rather than the Man City guys who kind of split between the two. And if I had to choose between Alvarez and Foden, Foden's cheaper, right? I mean, I get the sense that my dummy lineup right now is Morgan Gibbs-White and Phil Foden in my forward spots. But the question comes in is like, could you play Alvarez? Like, how far away are these three players at that range? And with Man City having the highest total, do you even want to get cute? And why don't you just play Alvarez and Foden and just not even have to worry about it?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said. I don't want to jam them both in. No, I think Gibbs White. I think you can make a lineup without any Man City players that would look pretty good. I also think Phil Foden is pretty cheap at 8,100. So yeah, I have the same two forwards that you have in my lineup, Gibbs White and Foden. You know, Alvarez, I'm taking into account that he played 68 minutes and 57 minutes. You know, before that he had been a guy that, or in two of the last three, I should say, before that he had been a guy that was always going 90. That uncertainty is not great. You know, yeah, he is splitting and he's more expensive. So, you know, like you said, it's a great spot for Gibbs, White, and Forrest. I'd feel comfortable playing him. I think the $900 savings makes Foden a better play than Alvarez. And yeah, we have a few good midfield options. I mean, yeah, I think cash is pretty straightforward, actually. I'm not going to play Chris Wood in cash. 3,600 is a crazy price, but I think the reason, at least for me, that you don't play Chris Wood in cash is because we have cheap fullbacks for even cheaper than Chris Wood playing for favorites.
Good. Like, do you consider on this topic of these high-end forwards? Do you consider Brian Mbeumo at 8,800 to be part of that group with Gibbs White and the two Man City forwards, or are you like me that I think he's clearly the fourth out of the bunch?
Yeah, I don't know about clearly. For me, it's like he's tied with Alvarez. I like that Mbeumo, that he takes pens and plays 90 minutes, so he has those things going for him that Alvarez doesn't. Like if I didn't play Foden, like, yeah, that's the lineup. Like, I think you could be fine with a Gibbs, White, Mbeumo lineup, but I don't think I'm going to do that, but it feels okay. I don't know. What do you think, Adam?
So you guys are both on Foden over Julian Alvarez?
Yeah, can you give me an argument as to why not? I mean, 900 is just a lot of savings and you know, Foden's been the guy going 90 minutes.
Can I give an argument? Well, I'm in agreement with you, but I'll think of an argument here.
maybe higher ceiling for Alvarez. I don't know. We've seen him take direct free kicks. We've seen him make one. I mean, he was looking like KDB for a little stretch there. So, I get it.
I mean, his goal scoring odds are different. So, I mean, on our RotoWire cheat sheet, Alvarez 45%, Foden 35%. So, I mean, that would be the argument of like Alvarez may have a higher ceiling.
Yeah.
But in this forward range, I mean, are you interested in punting it forward? Because I mean, I look down the list in the mid range. It feels like I'm not getting enough. Like Gordon and Almiron, and then you got Solanke there. You got all these other guys. I mean, if I were to go down at forward, I mean, we have Ogbeni at 5,300 for Luton. But I mean, you also have Cunha at 4,400, and then obviously we talk, the Chris Wood. I just feel like what you mentioned with we have cheap midfielder. We have under 4K midfielders and under 4K defenders. That if I'm going to play an under 4, and if I'm going to play a guy, and if I'm going to punt in some range for cash games, I'd much rather those guys. But obviously in GPP, you could find a cheap goal any of these places, but you're either going to get 2 points or 12, and that's not kind of what I want to do in cash games.
Yeah, you don't need the money for anything to punt it forward. You can play the 4 best plays pretty comfortably. 2 forwards, 2 midfielders, Trippier. There's just no reason.
So, do we think it's? I mean, you guys are all, we all we play cash games similar to each other to an extent. I do think there's going to
look at Jack's lineup. No. Ryan and Jack play cash games similar to each other. I don't necessarily play.
I'm just saying we come in with like the same mindset.
Yeah, but that's how you should be coming in.
You guys haven't even mentioned Erling Haaland. I think he's going to be. I don't know, 30-40% in cash games.
Well, I want to be in those cash games then.
Me too. I mean, I'll mention him. He's a bad cash play on this slate.
I know. I'm just saying.
Your chances with Haaland.
I think there's going to be. Actually, I got to bring up Ryan. So why do you call Erling Haaland Haaland? Is this like a Wisconsin thing?
No. It's just how you got a few names that for whatever reason you just like started saying wrong right away, like in your head, and it's just never going to stop. There's just a few guys that I have that with.
Right.
Seriously, like I realize that I say it incorrectly.
I'm just thinking, just in terms of this slate, if we had a little different slate, there may be a situation where you guys are actually recommending let's do the Erling Haaland and Chris Wood combination at forward in cash games. I think that in a different slate, I mean, Chris Wood is plus 120 to score. He is 3,600. He has the same odds as Alvarez to score, and he's 3,600. We played him. I don't know if I did, but someone played him last season at the end of last season when he was in this basically exact situation here. I just think that those guys are going to deserve a mention because people will play them. There will be touts that recommend him, and
GPP, that's fine. But in cash,
I'm talking about cash games. I'm talking about
cash games. There's other good options, like better options for cheaper. We usually don't have these set piece takers in good spots, like the Gibbs White types. Midfielders too.
Theoretically, Foden should be 9,500 on the slate. Haaland probably should be 10.5, and Alvarez should be around where he is. Right? Gibbs White should be like 9,800.
Chris Wood should be 6,500.
Yeah, but there are better $6,500 guys that I'd rather play also for the range of outcomes that he offers.
I just got to say something about Erling. I'll call him Erling for you.
Bro.
He had no shots against Arsenal, 0 XG. He had 1 shot in 90 minutes against Wolves. He had 2 shots in 90 minutes against Forest. Those are just his most recent 3 games. That's no floor. So I don't care what this total set, he's still the most expensive player on the slate. he pretty much has no floor. And then we have these other guys that have big floors, multiple forwards, multiple midfielders with double-digit floors that you feel good about. So like it's just such a no-brainer. The Haaland people in cash games, they get there. They'll get there on hat tricks sometimes. But it's a bad play.
Do you guys think the more we bash Erling Haaland here, the more likely he is to get a hat trick?
I don't know.
You guys are going to
no
lose
matter
all your
what
money?
no matter what I do, he punishes me. So yeah, I'm just gonna be honest.
No, I think you faded him in recent slates. I mean, you just won 7K on the Arsenal Manchester City. So
you're right.
You just lied to everyone right there.
Fading Erling has started to come good for me. It went very, very bad last year.
So you're not even at even yet. So still
no, I'm not even at even yet. We're getting there.
Haaland had 6 shots when Manchester City played Brighton last season in May, and as Jordan knows, prior matches mean everything in terms of DFS.
It has to happen exactly the way it did last time. Exactly.
What else do we got? We have, that's kind of it for cash games. If we're being honest, we have a lot of forwards that we could talk about here. Let's just move on to midfielders here in terms of cash games. The title of the show, I put Never Fade Alfie Doughty, and he is 7,100. Is he a lock for your guys' cash lineups? Seems like, this is a Luton Town player, but he seems like, I don't know if Jordan's ever played Bundesliga, but you know who Filip Kostic is. Kostic, a guy who had averaged 20 crosses a game in one seat at one point in Bundesliga. It seems like Doughty is kind of in that same range here, and we're getting him in a decent spot at 7,100. So, Jordan, are your first 2 midfielders? Are you looking at Doughty and Neto, or are you going elsewhere?
I have it reversed. So, like when you say, "Oh, is Doughty a lock or whatever?" Not when he doesn't play 90 all the time, while Pedro Neto pretty much plays 90 all the time. Yeah, they're both in similar spots. Right, Luton's actually a bigger underdog than Wolves are, but these are not tough matchups or anything. So like there's really no like tough. These are not pick'ems, but I'm not. I can't not play an underdog. Like no, I can play underdogs on this slate. I just prefer Wolves against Bournemouth as opposed to Luton against Nottingham Forest, and the fact that Neto's much more likely to play 90, and Doughty could come out at 70, 75. I mean, he could play 90 also. And Doughty plays as a wing back versus Neto, who's much more likely to get a goal. So, like, 6,800 versus 7,100. Like, right now in my dummy, I have both of them. But if you forced me to choose one over the other, I'd probably take Neto.
Yeah, I wish this slate was more fun to talk about, but I agree with both you guys. I agree with Jordan. They're the 2 best plays at midfield. I have both of them in my cash game lineup.
I mean, you don't consider Brownhill at 6,500 for Burnley to be in the same conversation as these 2 other guys.
No, you can't. I mean, just based on everything. Yeah, Doughty and Neto are like good options. I mean, look at Doughty. Look at his crossing numbers over the last 4 games. And, Forest is actually a pretty good spot for Luton. It's not like Forest is going to dominate that game. And then Neto, I mean, more upside, like you said. He's been one of the most impressive players in the league this season. It's just too cheap. He should probably be 8K on this slate.
If we're talking floors, I actually think Brownhill has about the same floor as Neto. Neto just has more upside. I mean, as we see, as he has goals, he has assists. Brownhill doesn't really play in that wing role where he's going to get all those opportunities. But Brownhill's basically taking every Burnley free kick. I think the matchups are pretty similar. Burnley against Brentford, injury hampered.
Okay.
Brentford.
I'm just concerned with Burnley. With Burnley playing on the road, like you're going to get into these situations where, like, unless Brentford score early, like Burnley never has an issue just like hanging back and having we're just going to play good defense. And
why do you think that?
Because it's Burnley.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
I mean, this is not Sean Dyche's Burnley. It's kind of
Okay, I just wanted to say, just looking at the numbers, while everything you said about Brownhill is true, he's had more than 4 crosses in a game once. So I mean, he does, to me, like, that plus the fact that he plays deeper than Neto, you just can't say they have the same floor, in my opinion.
Okay, that's fine. I don't know
I
if it's
get that
worth.
it's possible, but like just looking at results, like he has 5 crosses one time.
Like how the point
yeah.
that I was making is more of the fact of how many set piece opportunities and corners does Burnley create versus a team like Wolves versus a team like Luton. I think comparatively, I think Luton and Wolves are much more likely to get at least more opportunities for their guys to get those points in DFS.
Adam, I think Burnley want to be the team that you're talking about. They want to play that way. It's just not possible anymore. It was possible in the championship.
I just want to point out here, Brentford have a bunch of injuries. I mean, you guys are probably going to talk about possibly Maz Jerusalem getting the start. They got a bunch of injuries, but more importantly, so you know what Ryan said, they're not the same team as they were in the championship, obviously. Okay, they're not going to be dominating every team like they did last season, but I still have to point out that the games that they got points, they played Luton Town, they played Nottingham Forest. Their other 6 matches were against Chelsea, Newcastle, Manchester United, Tottenham, Manchester City. I don't know if
that's fair. Tough schedule.
So, like, what are we putting into? It's like, okay, well, Brownhill, he doesn't have as many crosses. Well, they've also 6 of their games have been against all the best teams and most of the best teams in the league. So, I mean, how much can we even put into those games when, okay, now they're going against Brentford. I know Brentford have had some good moments, but they're dealing with a ton of injuries and they're not just a team that's just going to dominate possession, especially against a team like Burnley. I just think that's things like that have to come into account. It's like, okay, well, this Burnley team, they're going to sit back and play defensively, but I don't really think they are. Maybe they have in these games against better competition, but I just don't think that's how Vincent Kompany is going to want to come into these games against mediocre competition, against bottom 10 table kinds of teams. So I think that just has to be said here. As we get
a bull case, I would
fair.
be able to give you credit for the bull case on that.
A little disrespectful to Brentford, but fair.
It is. I'm a big Thomas Frank supporter, but just the fact that, okay, they already lost Rico Henry to his injury and they have Aaron Hickey suspended. They don't have a healthy regular fullback available to them. I think they have some massive issues on their back line. We'll see if Ben Mee's available. And then you throw in no Ivan Toney and their attack hasn't looked as good. I do have doubts about Brentford in general here, but going forward, maybe this isn't the slate for Burnley, but I do think in future matchups, we will be talking about some Burnley guys eventually. But okay, so otherwise at midfield, I mean, we kind of, Solly March is here at 8K. He's going to be playing fullback. What else do we want to go to? If Jack Grealish starts over Doku or something like that, he's 7,800. We didn't mention Doku. He's 7,400. Matthias Jensen, who seems to score in every game, is 7,500. Again, kind of pricey here for split set pieces. He's kind of getting priced up because he's scoring a bit more than we think. But Jordan mentioned earlier, just there are some sub 4K midfielders that you would consider. So who are these sub 4K midfielders, Jordan?
Okay, looking down, I mean, for cash games on the high end, it's Doughty and Neto. I'm not going to really consider anyone else. Even if Grealish was in, I mean, I'm not even going to bother with that. On the low end of the scale, I think, I mean, we have to talk about the Crystal Palace situation. I'm not a Will Hughes guy. I think he's overpriced at 5,000. But, I mean, can you play him? Sure, I guess, maybe. Obviously, Gyro Riedewald, they've been splitting set pieces with Hughes with Eze out. I think these are low floor-ish options for, Newcastle is almost as big of a favorite as Man City. I'm not rushing to play Palace players, but I don't mind the Bournemouth guys. Like, depending on how they line up, like Philip Billing, Ryan Christie, even though he's been playing a little bit deeper. And then Lewis Cook, because Cook even if Tavernier is in, Cook will probably still get some set piece opportunities. I think these guys are kind of like the punt midfield spots, but I mean, it's quite possible that I'm playing 3 defenders because I'd rather play 2 defenders in this range with Trippier. So that's kind of the comparison of like any of these cheap midfielders you're comparing to a defender kind of in that range also. And it's kind of like, I don't think Lewis Cook is something that like, I need to play him at 3,700. And if you don't, you're stupid type of things. But he's probably one of the better options under 4K.
Yeah. Again, I have a feeling Jordan and I have the same lineup.
I think we have the same lineup.
I don't know why you don't just go Trippier, Toffolo, and Roerslev and forget about these cheap midfielders. You could play Lewis Cook, but yeah, I'm on 3 defenders, or maybe there's another defender. You can make an argument for other defenders.
No, you're mentioning exactly. You're mentioning it. Your lineup is a 2v2 of my current lineup.
Yeah, so I didn't maybe I'm missing. I didn't look too hard at defender after I named the first 3, but maybe there's another guy that. Anyway, yeah, I think 3 defenders might be the way.
Yeah, otherwise at midfield.
Could you get up to Tavernier? That's the only thing. I don't think you really can. Like, it'd be nice to have. Yeah, it'd be nice to have him in the flex, but it's not like you don't have to do it. It seems tough. I don't think you can really.
Yeah, I don't know if it's possible with Gibbs White and Foden.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise, when you have a couple midfielders like Doughty and Neto who are not too expensive, there's not much else to talk about really, unless we're talking about utility here. And as we get to defender here, it's kind of the same situation with Kieran Trippier, 7,500. Home against Crystal Palace, lock him in. It's kind of how it goes. Ryan mentioned Toffolo, let's pull up these lineups here. So Nottingham Forest have a few injuries. We got Toffolo and Nico Williams. And Nico Williams, of course, is 6,700. He's been priced way up there. He's been priced like he has set pieces, how he started last season. He's been priced like that for the past year. So if you want to play him in tournaments, go ahead, I guess. Maybe he'll get a goal or something like that. I think Jordan's going to play Joachim Anderson. He's 5,500 at Newcastle. So that's a good spot there.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And then the Brentford lineup, we'll see how they line up. I'm not entirely sure what they're going to do because, as I said, Aaron Hickey is suspended, so they don't actually have anyone who could play left back. Saman Ghoddos, who is more of an attacking player, came on in their last match, so we'll see how they actually line up. I guess the question is, I mean, you said you wanted to play Roerslev probably in your flex at 3,200. Is it matter at all if he's going to be a fullback or a wingback, or is it just like home against Burnley? Don't even think about it. He's so cheap, kind of a thing.
Yeah, more so the latter. Don't even think about it.
I mean, do you think with Hickey suspended? I mean, my biggest bugbear with Roerslev, like the cheap defenders that I'm looking at right now is Toffolo at 3,400. The Wolves fullbacks, I guess, are Semedo, Aït-Nouri. I mean, they're always options. They never get there, but there always seems to be appealing. And then also Kabore for Luton at 3,200 on the other side, but he may not play 90. Like, to me, Roerslev is like, if he played 90, then plug him like 3,200, give him to me as a wing back. No problem. No questions asked. But this guy could literally come out at the half. Like, that's his range of outcomes. So that's why I side with, like, if you told me that you have Toffolo and defender and Lewis Cook in your midfield, or you have some other defender there, and then whatever goalkeeper is, right? Because goalkeeper I don't care that much about. Like, that would, to me, that's the bear case on Roerslev. The bull case is easy, right? We all know the bull case, but I'm not a big fan of plugging guys in my cash lineup that could possibly get subbed out at the half.
No, Jordan. I'm not either. No, like,
is Adam going to tell me that in the past 17 games he's played 90 minutes and I haven't noticed?
No. I was just like, yeah, I'm looking at who they have, and they have a lot of injuries. And, he did go 90 last game, and they don't really have any natural replacement for him that I see, even attackers or midfielders with some of the guys they have out. And then, what about Cook getting subbed at 66 minutes last game? I know he's been playing 90, but does that weigh in anything on the other side? I guess, yeah, I should have thrown Kabore in there. He's a sub risk too. I'm tempted to just take the two guys that are home favorites in Roerslev and Toffolo, and it seems kind of easy. They're cheap, but
so Jordan,
I don't know. What were you going to say, Adam?
Jordan, you're on Toffolo over Roerslev.
I mean, I'm on both. I mean, I'm probably playing two guys in that range, so it just comes down to. I think I'd prefer Toffolo to Roers. Unless you told me that he was guaranteed to play 90 minutes, then I'd be on Roerslev over Toffolo.
I mean, Adam, I'll tell you who I will be on, who I want, who's the better player, who I want to be on. You got to tell me which team is going to create more chances, Forest or Brentford. Who is going to have more possession in the other team's attacking third, Forest or Brentford? If that's the guy I want. That's the guy who's the better play.
I don't know.
Okay, well, then they're both the same price. But if you know the answer to that question, that's the guy who's the better play.
Okay. I guess. I don't
know. Like, what do you think? You tell me.
Me tell you.
Yeah, fade both. I don't know. Is there a guy I'm missing? By the way, Joakim Anderson, how is he averaging double-digit fantasy points?
He scores in every game.
He's the only defender on the slate, besides Trippier, averaging double-digit fantasy points, with his Stupinian out. So maybe just plug in Anderson.
RotoWire was on that early. RotoWire.com/soccer trial. Make sure to like and subscribe to this video. So Jordan, you said, play whatever goalkeeper you want, whoever fits. But you guys have this 2v2 of where you're down here with Roerslev, and I don't think you need to be. So because with Roerslev, it gets you up to a more expensive keeper. It gets you up to whoever, Flecken or
I thought you hate Flecken. I thought Flecken's the bane of your existence.
I'm saying this is what it does for you. I'm not doing this. I'm not playing both of these guys.
That's the argument, Adam. Is there a guy in the 4K range that you need to be jamming in? Then there you go. That's how you win.
I don't think there's a guy who need to be jamming in, but I think there are better options is what I'll say. Joakim Anderson, number one.
You're not playing Joakim Anderson at 5,500. Yeah, you go. I want to see your lineup, Adam, with Nico Williams at 6,700 and Joakim Anderson at 5,500.
Like,
it was no Trippier.
You're making you have a good point though, Adam. I would be plenty willing to punt keeper if there was like a guy in the 4K range that I think
Ryan knows who I'm going to say. I think
Billing,
Philip Billing.
Okay, that's fair.
I said him before. I mentioned him with Cook. I think he's fine also.
Do you want? Well, yeah. We're just saying he's fine, and but you guys are plugging in both Toffolo and Roerslev. But would you
not necessarily?
Would you rather have an attacking Philip Billing who has shown a pretty good floor in pretty much every match this season, or would you want Roerslev who may not go 90? You don't know what he's going to do, kind of thing.
Well, it's a tough question, but you also got to remember that you get a favored keeper if you choose the cheaper guy.
Yeah, so that's what their question's coming to, because Jordan said he's going to play whatever keeper fits. But, at the end of the day, you got to think about, do you want one of the favorite keepers, or are you fine with Johnstone?
Well, when it's a guy like Philip Billing, sometimes I'll take the favored keeper, rather than go out of my way to play a Billing. I don't know, I'm not – I realize he has some upside, but, his 6 or 7 floor points is not going to beat you, really.
So I guess the other question is, as we get into goalkeeper, do we think that Brentford are good spot for a clean sheet? Is it worth it to pay up for Flecken in cash games? Is it worth it to pay up for Neto in cash games? Is that
normally I'd say no, but it's just the nature of the slate. You just sort of end up there. It's
Yeah.
weird because, you know, those two midfielders are just like, there's not much wiggle room. Like the two midfielders and the two forwards are like kind of locks. And then Trippier, like 5 guys are like kind of locks. So like you got to find a reason to punt keeper. Like, what are we getting? Philip Billing, is he going to win it for us? Like, do we need a guy like that? Or do you just take the favored keeper because you can? I don't know. You know,
in
like
my lineups that I'm building, I'm much more likely to play for anywhere from Brentford down to Burnley. Like I'm much more likely to be playing Flecken if he doesn't play Strakosha or Trafford, or then playing Neto or Sa, or like I'm pretty much in that range. Because if you go all the way down and say, okay, I'm gonna play Brighton, you know, but I'm gonna just punt all the way down, and who cares? Like, where am I moving my money? Like, where am I? I'm going from Foden to Alvarez. It's like, but I want to play Foden anyway. I'm going from Morgan Gibbs I'm going from Morgan Gibbs White to Erling Haaland. But I want to play Gibbs White, and I want and then to defend. Like, am I going to pay I'm going to punt the keeper, and then I'm going to play Milos Kerkez at 4,300 at defender instead of the 3K. Like, no, I'm not going to do that either. You just end up in kind of that mid-rangey 5K level goalkeeper range, and it doesn't feel like if you pay down, you even move up any projected points. I can see the case if you want to add some ceiling. Like if you want to go up from Roerslev and play Chris Wood instead in your flex and go, hey, maybe he scores 2 goals and it overcomes. Like, okay, I guess.
I was gonna say that. I mean, like if you. Right though, like if you're considering Philip Billing, or if you really don't like Roerslev or Toffolo, like
just play Chris Wood.
Just play Chris Wood. It's not that bad. He gives you outs.
I have another thing. I have another 2v2 I like more than Roerslev and whoever.
Okay.
Go up to Nick Pope. Just play a sub 3K utility. Like do we need to get up to Roerslev? We can have.
Yeah, well, you don't want to punt. What are you going to play? A $2,500 no one?
You're going to play Murillo, a 20-year-old Brazilian who's been hyped up by Nottingham Forest for the past 2 weeks, who had a couple shots and a shot assisted in their last game, who's been awesome in his first 2 Premier League starts. You're going to start him at 2,800 at home against Luton Town. That's what you're going to do. That's how you're going to win money. You're welcome, everyone.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I got to say, I don't mind it.
Nick Pope has 47% clean sheet odds. Is it like, is Roerslev and Toffolo, both of those, is playing both of those guys worth it when you can get almost 10% clean sheet odds better than everyone else on their slate from your goalkeeper?
No, I don't. It's a very fair point. If I knew that Pope was going to keep a clean sheet, I would do that.
Yeah, if we knew that we can keep a clean sheet, we'd always do that, but we don't know. That's the whole point of goalkeeper. It's you close your eyes and you hope for the best.
Yeah, but you got to think about
I get your point, though.
You got to think about Crystal Palace without Eze and Elise.
No, you're right. I think to myself sometimes, like, yeah, if I'm already at 53, 5,400, like, do you just go the rest of the way? I get it. Like, yeah, for 10%.
I mean, why do we want to trust Mark Flecken, who has had some poor performances this season without a real fullback in front of him?
You don't really.
Exactly. And then when you can, get up, find $300, get up to Nick Pope against a Crystal Palace team that has 1 goal in their last 4 matches. They don't have their best 2 creative players in the team. So that's just I think it has to be you have to think about it is kind of what I'm coming to, because both you guys came up at me. You're like, yeah, why not just go Roerslev and Toffolo? We love these fullbacks in good spots. But I think that, okay, maybe you want the 16 points from Nick Pope instead. At least the possibility of that. I think it has to be, is the 5-6 points, maybe the 5-6 points from Roerslev worth it? I don't know. I don't know if it is.
It was a good sell. I'm thinking about it. Part of the I attach some sort of assist equity to favored fullbacks. So I know like Roerslev and Toffolo are questionable, but they're in good spots and they cross the ball and they get forward. So I do think of that too.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now the cash game is settled. You just got to figure out your 2v2 with goalkeeper and utility, and we figured out everything else for you. So no tournaments here. I will start with this Manchester City match because they're going to be the most popular team, 2.32 implied goal total. I think we have to start there. Jordan, you have your 6 lineups. How are you playing this? You're not even looking at Manchester City. Maybe you're going to have one piece here and there, but you're full
Maybe
fading
I may
Erling
in my
Haaland.
tournament, in my GPP lineups, I may have 0. That's why the question in the beginning of the podcast was, I'm not sure if Man City is going to be over-owned or under-owned. Seems like the type of slate when we have Neto, we have Doughty, we have all these pieces that have good floors that people may want to play, and then next thing you know, it's like, oh, why is Haaland only 24% owned, and why is Alvarez only 18% owned? Why is Doko 9%? And you go, oh, and then they go and they score 4 or 5 goals. But it could also be the slate where you open it, you turn over the cards at 10:01, and it's like Haaland's 42% owned, and Alvarez is 32%, and Foden is 54. Like everyone went to Man City, and there's one team on this slate that could score goals that I guarantee won't be popular, and that's Newcastle. Trippier will be, oh, everyone's going to play Kieran Trippier. But how many people, especially if Isak can't go, like give me Callum Wilson at 8,700. Give me Almiron. Give me Gordon. Give me a team that could actually outscore Man City, even if Man City do put up 3 goals. I can't say that about any of the other teams on this slate. So for just pure upside at their ownership, yeah, from a mean perspective, these guys are overpriced in comparison to the options that are here. But I'm looking to win GPPs. I'm not gonna do the Chris Wood is gonna be popular because of his cheapness. So you're gonna see more lineups that have like these Nottingham Gibbs White, Wood, Toffolo lineups. You're gonna see that. You're gonna see Wolves lineups with like Cunha, Neto, Semedo. You know, people are gonna pair these guys. Doughty with Luton guys, with Ogbeni and Morris, and I'm just like, dude, Crystal Palace, look, I mean, their injury list is pages upon pages upon pages long.
Actually, it's one page. RotoWire.com/soccer trial. Check out the cheat sheet.
But it's very long. It's long. Look at the totals. There's no reason why can't I play a 10% owned Callum Wilson in a 10% owned Almiron or an 8% owned Gordon or Elliot Anderson? I mean, maybe not Gumares. I play these guys alongside Trippier, and like all the guys, like instead of Morgan Gibbs White, you take a look at my cash lineup. I'm still leaving Trippier in, but I'm taking Gibbs White and I'm putting in Callum Wilson. I'm taking out Alfie Doughty and I'm putting in Anthony Gordon. And I'm taking out Pedro Neto and I'm putting in Miguel Almiron. And just go out Newcastle, score a bunch of goals. To me, that's the non-Man City route of playing GPPs, and they're all correlated to each other. So let's go Newcastle.
Ryan, before letting you go here, how mad are you that Jordan keeps saying Anthony Gordon's name?
No, I'm not mad.
I think you're going to be. I thought you're going to be like 80% Anthony Gordon. I thought this was going to
be. No, it's just like I'm getting worried now, just because I was gonna again say the same thing as Jordan, and planning to have maybe 0 Man City, maybe one piece here and there, but makes me think like is everyone on this path? Back to Jordan's point at the start, is our City going to be underowned? Because this City matchup, I mean, what a matchup! Everyone's hyping this up, especially Pep versus De Zerbi. You could see, this matchup could go a lot of ways. Like, is De Zerbi going to try to hold out, or keep City from scoring, or are they just going to say, let's see who can score more goals? I mean, that's a possibility. So if City are going to be underowned, man, I hope not, because my instinct is to fade them. I agree with Jordan. It's a good spot for Newcastle. It's also a good spot for Forest, Brentford, Mbuemo, Wissa. So yeah, I don't know. There's enough other good spots where fading City looks really good to me, but if they're underowned, then That's not the greatest move.
You guys actually sold me on playing more Manchester City than I planned on doing.
There you go. Right? I mean, what if nobody plays them?
You mentioned De Zerbi here, De Zerbi ball. It seems like they have one, unless they spent the last 2 weeks completely changing strategies. De Zerbi has kind of had this, the same kind of strategy since he came into Brighton, since he was at Sassuolo. It's going to be possession based. They're going to go up the field fairly quickly. Their mistakes are going to be defensively. And I don't think they did that. They didn't sit back against. They're not going to sit back. Is kind of what I'm getting to. And they're going to try and score, and they're going to make mistakes like they have all season. I think that the goals are there for Manchester City. So I just think that if people are actually going to fade Manchester City, and we think that Manchester City are going to score, why are we going to fade? Why are we going to fade Manchester City?
Well, I don't know, but that's the point. The point, it comes down to that. If you believe the field is going to shy away from Man City, jam them in. If you think the field is going to play Man City, then play Newcastle. I mean, like that. To me, that's the decision on the slate. To me, judging how the field is going to react to Man City, and from my perspective, seeing how people tend to play GPPs, people 2.31 implied total. People are used to clicking. It's a Man City slate. Haaland, Alvarez, Foden. Like, just they're not going to want to click on Callum Wilson, Gordon, Almiron. They're not going to be excited to click on Gibbs White or Mbeumo. Like, it just like I just don't see it. I just think, I need to score goals. Let me just play Man City. And so I'm expecting them to be over-owned. But in smaller contests, like if you're playing a qualifier or something like that, I could see it end up leveling out the other way of, everyone's going to play in the large field, sure, but in a small field, I like you mentioned, Adam, about Haaland being a cash play. I would make a bet with you that based on the current projected lineups, that if you looked at like the $50 11-man double up or something, I'd be shocked if Haaland is in more than 2 lineups out of the 11. But if you looked at the single entry, 113, whatever, $25, whatever, maybe Haaland's in 40% of lineups or 45% of lineups. So like I'm leaning towards the side of, like, if that's going to be the case, that probably transfers over to the large field GPP also. So I have to expect that Man City is going to be over-owned. I mean, they shouldn't be low-owned, but they probably shouldn't be 40% owned on a 5-game slate like this. So I'm expecting that, but I could see the reverse in the smaller field stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Before I give it to you again, Ryan, I want to point out, if you plan on going with the Newcastle, I do think it's worth mentioning Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, when they played before the break, they looked like a championship level team. They had backups playing. They had guys who rarely ever play being forced in the starting 11. As of now, it seems like Jefferson Lerma, Cheek Doucouré, their 2 best midfielders, and Joe Ward, who is a better defender than Nathaniel Klein, are expected back in their lineup. I know Eze is not there, and Elise is still out, but that doesn't affect, their midfield. That doesn't affect their defense. So I think that you do have to take that into account. This is actually a real team again with Crystal Palace. If you watch the Nottingham Forest match at all, when they got outplayed by Nottingham Forest when they're at home, they just had a pretty weak squad there. So I think that's worth mentioning. But Ryan, we got these other 3 matchups, and I think there can be goals in these other 3 matchups. So I don't think we should ignore them here. Does either one of them stand out to you?
I don't know. You got me worried that City is just going to smash now. Aside from DFS, like, just, I don't know, the way Brighton play these 2 managers. Yeah, you can see, like, it's no wonder why the total's like it is. So I don't know. I'm going to be upset if I fade City and they're not very popular. But yeah, these other spots, I don't know. I like Brent. I like the Brentford spot. Like Jordan said, people don't really want to click Mbeumo. Even less will want to click Wissa. I think it's a good spot for those guys. I probably will have some Chris Wood. I know it will be popular, the Wood and Gibbs White pairing, but if Chris Wood's ever going to do it, it's going to be home against Luton, right? I mean, I'd just be kicking myself too much if I fade Wood and he scores for 3,600. You're just dead. I'm just dead. And me playing, 25 lineups or whatever, I'm going to have some.
Yeah, Luton
I don't know.
Luton Town are also down 2 center backs who have started the season. Amari Bell is a regular. He's going to be out. And then Majul Anderson is out as well. So Ted and Mengi is projected to start again.
Yeah. And okay. So yeah, argument in favor of playing some Forest. And then, I want to play some Neto in tournaments too. So I think your guy Solanke makes a little bit of sense. Don't really love that game, but you could just a Solanke Neto pairing seems fine to me.
My guy Marcus Tavs.
Him too, right? Yeah, I think it's fine to have a piece of that game.
If we get Anthony Elanga at 3,700, would you guys consider him in cash games, home against Luton Town, in that utility spot?
Like, we just don't need it, right? He's going to play 60 minutes. It's the same as like Chris Wood almost. Yeah, his floor is like a little higher, but it's just.
Well, you guys wanted to play Rearslev for 3,200, and he could play 60 minutes, but Elanga's in an attacking spot.
He also has like 35% clean sheet odds or something, right?
Oh, okay. You're playing Flecken and Rearslev. My bad.
No, I mean, it's got to be accounted for though. Like,
yeah. All right.
No, I get your point though. Like, these guys aren't that much worse than a Rearslev.
Yeah, I think this could be. I think Nottingham Forest could come out in a 4-2-3-1 with Hudson-Odoi and Elanga on the wings, and then Gibbs White centrally with Wood up front. I think they could do that instead of putting in like both Mangala and Sangare or something like that. So I do think it is in play that they go a little more attacking home against Luton Town.
I'll play him in tournaments, Elanga.
There you go. Jordan, what do you think?
I'm good.
You're good?
What else is there to say?
I don't think you've said enough this show. I think me and Ryan have talked too much. I think you need to say something else.
No, play Crystal Palace. Play Newcastle against Crystal Palace.
Okay, well,
I don't know what else. What did we? I think we. I don't know what else.
Did we miss anything? What is there?
No, I don't think we missed anything. Like I can't really.
All right.
Who do we miss here?
Do we want to go into a deep dive on Chris Norgard or something? I mean, just for no reason.
Are you considering Bruno Guimaraes, Sean Longstaff, or Elliot Anderson, or if Sandro Tonali starts, the fellow better if he starts? Are you looking at any of those guys? Are you playing any of the center backs?
Guimaraes, I don't mind.
In your tournaments, are you going with Dan Burn or Fabian Schär, or maybe you can next to it with a Trippier set piece?
No.
You don't play like that?
No. Lascelles is up to 3,700. I mean, Lascelles was like 2,600 on like the last slate he was on. So no, I mean the whole point is that people are going to play Trippier, and what's going to end up happening? Trippier gets 26 points, right? So everyone has him. He's the pop. He's like, 26. Trippier is 26 points with all these crosses and 2 assists, and they don't have the goals that he assisted in their lineup because they're 8% owned. It's like if I'm going to play Trippier, it makes Trippier Haaland ain't a combination that could happen unless Trippier crosses the ball really long to get to another stadium. So I want to be on the end of a Trippier ceiling game if I'm going to play him in my lineup. So it makes sense, especially if Isak, like, dude, if I don't see Isak even like on the bench, like this could be a Callum Wilson 90-minute game, and 8,700. I mean, he has as much upside as Haaland, truthfully.
But you're not playing. You're not playing for a set piece goal though.
No, you don't need to play Fabian Schär or something like that. No.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, but why are we playing You're playing Toffolo for his 5-6 point floor when these Newcastle
defender with someone else. I mean, I'd be doing something else. I mean,
Adam, I'm in on the center backs.
if Callum Wilson starts, he's 5'9", or he's 5'11". Miguel Almiron's 5'9". All these Newcastle forwards are shorter. These Newcastle center backs, even Dan Burn, they're up there in the box on every single set piece. You got to figure there's going to be a ton of set pieces for Newcastle.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. I'm in on the center backs.
No, I'm not kidding either.
As someone who loves to spend up at both defender spots, usually for two fullbacks, we've said it. There's not opportunity cost on this slate, like for a second defender.
Okay, I take it back. I agree with you. The fact of the matter that no, I had to look at the prices. Prices. It's like if you put together your lineup and it's like, oh, I got Trippier and two Newcastle players, and then in my defender slot I have Rorislav or Toffolo or Semedo or something. I'm like, what's the big deal if I just put Schär in that spot? Like there's no cost. It's not like we have two defense. It's not like we have Lucas Digne. We don't have like some like other 5K type defender where it's like, oh, he could get 10 points. It's like, no, outside of Trippier, none of these defenders are must play anything. So like if I'm gonna have Newcastle, why not have Schär in there? But I mean, I wouldn't be playing Schär as a one-off or anything.
On his best day, Fabian Schär is Joachim Anderson.
I mean, I'm not.
He also takes free kicks once in a while.
I'm a Schär fan. How many worldies have we seen Schär score? I'm not even exaggerating. 5, couple for Switzerland, few for Newcastle. He just scored one.
He just did. Yeah, he just
every year. Every year.
He just had one, so that means we have to wait a few months, or
he's got more in him.
Well, he's got confidence. He's got confidence. All right, there we go. All right, Ryan, you got anything else for this interesting slate? We didn't even make it an hour, but I think we got mostly everything here.
We got I thought we had everything, and then you threw in the center backs. Now we really have everything.
I think it's a fun slate is what it comes down to. We have Manchester City as a big favorite, but we also got Newcastle in there, which we've talked about. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be interesting. Maybe at the end of the day, maybe it won't be fun. Maybe these games won't have goals and Manchester City will score 5 goals. Maybe it could happen, but maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be, someone will walk away with a ticket. Speaking of the tickets, Jack brought this up in the Discord earlier. Did they change has it always this season? Has it been 169 entries for this $25? I thought it.
No, they've changed both. Yeah. The $25 now has more entries. It's 5 max instead of 4 max. So yeah.
Right. It used to be 4 max and 134 entries or something like that.
Yes. Now it's like 169 or something. Also the other ones too. They added more entries to the 164. And yeah, because they're giving some money back to like 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place now, so you don't get 0. I don't know.
There must be people must have a lot of these $25 tickets or something that they felt the need that, okay, let's up it over the international.
I think people have a lot of all the tickets, the 164 ticket. Yeah, because they're constantly running those satellites.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Thank you everyone for watching. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also subscribe to RotoWire. And make sure when you subscribe to RotoWire, put a check mark on soccer. Don't even check mark everything else. Just be like, I only care about soccer. This is the best soccer content in the business. This is all I care about. Make sure you do that when you subscribe. But RotoWire.com/soccer trial. That's a 48-hour trial. You can find Ryan at Ryan Belongi on Twitter. Jordan is at BlenderHD. I am at Zdroik. And as usual, RotoWire Soccer is at RotoWire Soccer. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Ryan. Good luck to everyone on this slate. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see. Let's cheer for Fabian Schär. How about that? We'll cheer for Fabian Schär, and inevitably Jordan will win a King of the Pitch ticket with Fabian Schär in his lineup. So shouts to Jordan on doing that. And I'll say in advance, you're welcome, Jordan, for telling you what to play.
Okay, when he gets sent off with a red card, I'll know.
All right. Thanks, guys.